Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm watching The White Lotus, Season 2, Episode 6.
Abductions.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah.
I find this show fascinating.
Yeah.
I find it riveting.
As a character study.
Loved it. Just watching themes and characters sort of play out. I watched the first season. I binged it myself. We weren't covering it. And
then we binged it during the hurricane.
Yeah. I have thoroughly enjoyed covering it. However, one of the downfalls is you get more immersed in the communal experience. And so there are things both in comments and in
just the internet
tweets and stuff that I would not have picked up on myself. It's not ruining the experience for me at all, but I would have been gagged by the end of this episode had that not been floated as a potential.
Which? The Tanya part?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, both. Mm-hmm. Both that Tom Hollander, that Quentin and co is. Because
they're fishing.
It's still unclear if this is his nephew. It's heavily implied.
I think not.
Yeah.
Now I think not.
I understood even before that, because a lot of people nephew is code sometimes. And I was like, no, I get that. And I knew that was a possibility. I just know better than to count things out.
Sure.
And like I mentioned at the top of the episode, it's like, I don't think that incest is...
For the ultra wealthy...
Considering that this is ultra wealthy Italian,
well, they are English.
I know they're English, but it takes place in Italy. And the tropes of the opening mural. I mean, there's a lady fucking a swan. I just thought a lot of things were on the table.
Including on the table.
That being one of them. But no, I really would not have seen it coming. And all the clues are there, because I think it's in the second episode when Cameron talks about how he doesn't really get involved with the locals, because he was like, they don't have any money. They have these palatial mansions, but they can't pay for it and stuff. Yeah. So it's one of those things where there's nothing but clues leading
the whole
up.
Time.
But I don't know. Is there a character you want to start with? Do you want to start with Jennifer, with Tanya?
I was going to say, let's start with Valentina, because it's the most contained. So it's her birthday. She makes me sad. She makes me really sad. So it's her birthday. She wants to go out with Isabella. She is doing too much, as always.
And it's the thing where it's like, I want to be like, it doesn't have to be this way, but it might. I don't know what it's, because she's older. What would you say
40s.
In her 40s.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was like growing up in Sicily.
Yeah.
A lesbian in the 70s and 80s.
Sure. I'm sure it's tough. I just feel like she's kind of stuck there. I feel like one time somebody called her a slur, and so she was like, well, I can't do that ever. And she hasn't noticed the times changing. And so when Mia is like, even I've been with a woman, it
throws her for a loop.
It does. It really does, because it's so, Mia has to be half her age. It's so much different and easier.
But it's like the mix of emotions.
Yeah.
That Sabrina, Impacciatore?
Yeah.
The mixture of emotions, Sabrina, from because she was almost angry, but then there was also, it was internal, where it's have I done this to myself?
Because I think a little bit, yes.
Because she's got a good job.
Yeah.
She's managing an ultra luxury
hotel. So anyway, she tries to go out with Isabella, and then Isabella says that the new guy...
No, it's Rocco.
No. She says the new guy is making her uncomfortable. Oh. Can you send him back to the beach club and bring Rocco back? Because Rocco's my boyfriend and we just got engaged. And
it's also funny because it shows that Valentina
was totally misreading.
Well, it's because she doesn't see she saw Rocco as a threat, because Rocco's more traditionally handsome.
Yep.
And so it's she's not actually concerned for... Yeah.
Not even a little bit. And also, she's building everything up in her own mind. So the fact that Isabella is just wants to be friends with her and is yeah, I'll definitely go out with you for your birthday.
Because I made a comment watching this where I was like, she's getting mixed signals. And you were like, I think Isabella's just nice.
I think she's just a nice, but she works front desk at a hotel. She's a nice person. I don't know. That's sort of a prerequisite.
She's just pleasant.
Yeah. And so she obviously totally spirals and she's getting drunk at the hotel bar and Mia finishes up her set and like goes and essentially I was like, just let her go upstairs with Mia and let her rock your shit for like one night and then just it'll be fine. Like it'll just be fine. And Mia is not like officially a prostitute, so she might not even charge you. Like, I don't know.
I'm not sure what game they're playing, Mia and Lucia, because they're either gonna make bank, everyone is gonna be under their thumb,
wind up
or
dead
they
in
are
the ocean.
throwing favors at, like, you know what I mean?
That's okay. So that's the thing. That's why I can't be a sex worker. I think I'd feel bad.
That's what I meant from the previous episode, where I was like, I would too many on the house, like.
Oh, you just seem sad. How about a freebie?
Just let me do it for you. God. But it was nice, and I mean, it was awkward, but it was also kind of touching.
I thought it was sweet because also it's like it's clear that Mia doesn't have any hangups about having sex with a woman, and so I just feel like it's sort of the best case scenario. Like, get a pretty young thing. She was going after someone who was like kind of out of her league anyway. Just get a pretty young thing, rock your world, and go to work refreshed tomorrow.
We still think Lucia is conning Alby. I don't, because you had proposed that this man, this presumed
Alessio, I think.
Is that it?
I think so.
You had proposed that maybe he was just another client or like a friend, and he was manhandling her in that scene, and he was willing to drive wherever they went.
Which scene? Today's scene?
No.
Last week's scene? I think that was on purpose. And I also kind of think like, I think that was sort of like a stereotypically Italian, like, let me get grabby with you kind of thing.
It looked heated when they did the recap. It looked heated.
Yeah.
But he could still be in on it though. Because it's like, and that's another thing that I actually really like about this show. And it throws some people, but the show is so subtle.
Kind of, yeah.
Can you call the show subtle?
At times.
It's so subtle that I could truly believe that it's like a passing coincidence or deep subterfuge.
Sure.
Like both are options.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But there's like no real in between. It's like one extreme or the other only.
Well, not even necessarily that, but it's like there were so many people that are like, oh man, Cameron and Ethan are gonna totally bang. And it's like that tension is there.
That could happen.
That homoeroticism is there.
I'm not counting on it.
It's probably not gonna happen. And people were going, deep in on a lot of these things. And so it's like on one hand, I guess to narrow back in, I could believe both. I could believe that Lucia is just actually trying to scam them for all they're worth. And I could also believe that this is some guy that she's gotten in trouble with. I think both options are valid.
I just think it took too long for her to mention some kind of pimp. And so I think that that's not it. And I also think she deeply understands what Alby's whole deal is and the fact that she's fucked his dad and that the grandfather is there too. And she knows that they have money because they're staying in 3 separate rooms at this hotel.
Well,
and I think that she basically is like, the more that I impress upon the youngest one that I am in need of rescuing, the more, because he was like, how much do you need to get out of this scenario? That's what she's hoping for. And I am way more on the end of the spectrum that she is scamming them.
I think because we have seen her privately display both, like, not quite remorse, but we have seen her sort of yearning for something more, for something that's not this. But we've also seen her sort of gloating and being like, I'm going to do as much as I can. Like,
I also don't think that...
I think this is the last hurrah for her.
Could be. Because I also don't think she doesn't like Alby. But
she does.
I know. But I think it's also like a product of circumstance where she's just like, hey, 3 Italian guys who have money and I've fucked 2 of them. Let's go for a hat trick.
I don't really know what I make about them finding his family other than it just was
disappointing.
Very short-sighted.
Yeah.
And I mean, because they I mean, they did think to bring a translator, but when they lost her, they were full steam ahead. And
They
it was
also,
sort of like,
I can't say they like happily watched her go or anything, but like she did not come up again the rest of the day. Like she didn't cross their minds.
And she did, like, they did drive off with her, like,
out the window. I don't know.
But I thought it was, because we got a groan from Rachel watching it, where it's like, Bert was deflated, was sad because he didn't get what he wanted, and it came down to he was expecting some grand homecoming where some mythical female,
loving
some
embrace,
matriarch would tell him that he was a good boy.
Yeah.
And Rachel was just like, oh, no. And it's like, I simultaneously get it, like deep down, and also groan and resent it.
Okay, because here's the thing. Do you know what you could do instead? Is hug your fucking son. Hug your son who came to Italy with you. That's your family.
We don't have it's millennia of romantic notions and imagery imprinted on us to do that, though.
Not every old Italian woman is your Nona, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, no, because the ones that aren't are Venus on the half shell. There's two women. There's two.
Nona or naked on a half shell. That's it.
Madonna or whore. I appreciated it. I kind of wanted to see the reconciliation, but for that, I can just watch an episode of Who Do You Think You Are?
Sure.
They do it with John Stamos.
Yeah.
So
I also, I have not been saying it, but F. Murray Abraham he's been really so good, and he's been gigging hard like the last 10 years.
But this is also a relatively understated performance, considering that sort of introduced him burping and farting, you know?
It's really quite good. He's very charming. I've always really liked him as an actor, and I think that this is like a really good role for him, and I think he's doing amazing. I haven't said it as much as I should, but he's very good.
I find this Ethan and Harper situation delicious, and I'm sort of like, I want to light the match and watch it burn. Because they both, like, I'm on her side now. I think she started hot.
Sure.
Like, she was kind of the insufferable one at first.
Yeah.
And then and it's just so real.
Oh, yeah.
And once the switch happened,
it's like mind-boggling to me. I think it's so funny because he is like, I didn't do anything, and he's like indignant, like he didn't do anything, like, I can't believe you don't trust me, like all of this. And they have that really real conversation at the beginning where she's like, do we need to talk about the fact that we're not attracted to each other like we used to be? And like, you don't ever want to fuck me, like what's going on? And so then Harper and Cameron go to talk after they're at the beach, and
Ethan asks Cameron to vouch for him.
Yeah. So
it's like he put this all into motion.
So I also said that while we were watching, though, because I was like, oh, sure, get the guy that everyone's in agreement, even Daphne. Is it? We know if we know one thing is that Cameron cheated, and I'm
Daphne's gonna come out of this refreshed, down 5 pounds.
She got a massage from Timothy Chalamet, but with muscles.
She's the takeaway. Like, she's the only one who's doing this right.
I love Megan Fahey so much.
But I also, there's just something, like, I feel like we're supposed to hate Cameron and, to a lesser extent, Cameron and Daphne. But I'm sort of like, they're the only ones that
like get it.
Like the way that they're flirting with each other, it's very Aphrodite and Aries.
They're literally the only ones that are performing their roles correctly. Like, and I don't mean their roles in the show, I mean their roles in society, in the society of the show. They're the only ones doing it right. And like, because Daphne obviously knows that something went down with Cameron, but it's like all the times before that she knows about, she's gonna deal with it on her own. She's gonna make it happen for herself.
Favorite is how openly they sort of just confess. Like, it's playful, but she's like, Harper thinks you guys got into trouble, did you? And he's like, well, you know I'm a bad boy. And she's like, well, I'll make you bad. Like, and they're literally having the conversation
at breakfast.
But the connection's there. And that's, I think, the thing that I try, like, there are all different types of relationships and ways to have relationships. And for me, it's not so much about traditional families or relationships or monogamy and all that. It's about trust, balance, respect, like all
Yeah.
this stuff. It's
And
like,
also communication, because if it's like, I think that's probably their only mistake, is that they seem to not be communicating about it, because Daphne is like assuming, like how she spoke to Harper, she was like, I think he cheated like probably at least once. And so the thing is it's like, if it were me in the scenario, I would be like, look, do you, but don't make me look like a fool. And so it's like, now that Lucia and Mia are coming up to Ethan and being like, we haven't been paid, that's getting messy.
so I also think that, I can't remember if I said this, but I think that Cameron and Daphne maybe don't have money like they used to.
You did say that, yeah.
Because I think that might be the point of this trip for them, is to try and get in on Ethan's ground floor.
Yeah.
And the fact that Cameron won't pay the girls.
Yeah. I don't think it's that so far, I don't think it's that he won't. I think it's that he hasn't been able to sneak away to the ATM.
Oh, he could do it if he needed to. I think he feels, I think he could also feel above it. Like he doesn't need to.
Yeah. Like,
which is
like
gross.
Who would worry?
Yeah, which is gross in its own
right. Pay your sex workers.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe it's because they're pretty and they are performing the roles so well, but they seem so much more functional than...
Yeah.
Even with their dirty closets.
You're totally right, because that's the thing, is like, once Ethan is like, Harper, why are you so happy all of a sudden? And she's like, we're on vacation and I'm having a great time. And she's like, also, Cameron confirmed everything you said, so I'm like totally fine now. But then he immediately starts thinking that they are having an affair. And I mean, they very well could have gone upstairs and have sex.
But I think that's not the point. I think that's why the show didn't show us.
Mm-hmm. It's that he still has all of this guilt and weird resentment and stuff, and so he's like, well, that's obviously the only thing that could happen, is that she would fuck him instead of me.
And I just think it's so weird that the second the heat was off him, all of a sudden, God.
Which also leads me to the belief that he has cheated on Harper at some point.
You think so?
That's always the way it goes. The minute that you're like, I think you fucked someone else, you should immediately be looking back at the other person and being like, the fact that you say that without a shred of proof means that you are projecting your shit onto me.
I need convincing on that.
Well, I'm not saying it's like for sure 100%, but like I would bet.
Everybody has been excellent on this show, but Aubrey Plaza, it has been such a joy to watch her do this.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm gonna love watching her get a major acting award next September.
Well, and I was gonna say in this episode in particular, because she kind of finally let it go a little bit.
Yeah.
I was really rooting for Ethan, and now I'm sort of like, you know what, dude?
Yeah. Gotta go.
That does take us to Tanya and Quentin. Presumably Jack took Portia away on Quentin's behest. To like keep her at Quentin's behest. On his behalf. I do that all the time.
At his behest, on his behalf. Yeah, just to like keep her out of the way.
And
because she would have. I don't know. I feel like you could have kept her enough out of the way at the party.
I think she might have. I'm there with you. I think she might have gotten protective. Like, I think if she felt like Tanya was being manipulated, she might have snapped out of it.
Maybe.
Because she did with Jack acting weird.
She was dick drunk for a minute, but then he started getting real strung out and loud beer drunk at lunch.
And Tanya, I thought that scene was really interesting. Tanya sort of warning Portia about him, because I'm not sure what I thought she would do.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what I think if she should have done or said more, and at what point.
Yeah,
because you're still in the thick of it, so you don't want to make a scene yet.
100%, yeah. And I was a little bit expecting, because Tanya's kind of a wild card, and so I kind of was expecting her to be like, well, I caught them fucking last night.
Well, she has that, if it's my party and I'll cry if I want to.
Yeah.
Where it's like if like I could see her getting jealous and trying to, like, if she thinks Portia has something and she doesn't,
sure,
she'll try to take it from her.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what she did. And it warmed me back up to her a little bit after she really pissed me off last week.
Yeah. But we also we did get confirmation that, which somebody said in our comments, I don't remember who it was, but Greg is the beautiful cowboy that got old, that Quentin was in love with.
Oh, okay. I'll let you have that. We didn't get confirmation. It's still implied because there was a picture of them together.
He was wearing a cowboy hat.
I'll let it go.
And they were much younger.
But nobody confirmed it. I'll let it go.
That is narrative confirmation.
It was.
That was confirmed.
I'll let it go. That's what. If you're new, that's a running joke, a running theme. So yeah, like I said, that would that would have blown the barn doors clear off for me.
Yeah,
and I saw it coming now because it seems that Greg is unhappy with this relationship because I don't think it goes back to season 1.
I don't think so either. But I think we talked about it at the beginning of the season. I think it's because he had some sort of illness and he thought it was like worse than it was. And so I think you mentioned it. I think you were right where he was like, sure, I'll spend my last handful
6
of months
with you.
And now he's going to live for like a while longer.
Years.
And he's like, well, fuck, I don't want this.
And so it seems...
Especially not if he's gay with Quentin.
I don't think he is, though. He's straight.
That's right. He is a straight cowboy.
It was tragic. And Quentin loves that. Are you kidding me? That would be better than if he was gay. Because now Quentin gets to carry a torch.
And Greg's gonna
as a certified torch carrier myself.
And Greg's gonna help him get the money. Yeah, okay. So I think there has to be an infidelity clause in their prenup because Greg also wouldn't have mentioned the prenup if it weren't like something important.
Either
so
that
there
or
is a camera in that painting of the naked lady
that keeps staring at them.
Hundo P, yeah.
Either that or they're going to kill her, or she's going to have an accident, or she's going to commit suicide.
And then Greg gets everything.
Because we have the Madame Butterfly, we have the story of the Italians who wanted the house, and yada. So, I mean, there have been several things.
Maybe it's Tanya. In the water.
It might be, and which I would, we got a full episode left, so I would want to see. I think I would be fine with that, because the thing is,
I don't think Jennifer Coolidge should be the linchpin on like 6 seasons of this show. No. You know?
But they've already impressed because when she came back, I was like, oh, awesome, that makes total sense. But then I was also, ooh, could that be too much of a good thing?
Yeah.
And I've actually been very impressed with what they've done with her this season. So I'm not sure. I would have to see how it actually does play out and unfold.
Yeah.
Jack
spinning out.
Well, he just sort of, this was the most sort of like, I don't know, like I'll allow it, but he's drunk, and of course people tell the truth when they're drunk, but he was really kind of like James Bond villain monologuing there, explaining the evil plan to Portia.
I also kind of think he feels bad.
Okay.
I think he's an opportunist, and I think he was probably like a rent boy. And
I think he's trade, because the way he was talking, it made it seem like he's like, I mean, I'll do what I gotta do. Well,
I think that Quentin found what he was saying implied that Quentin found him in like a really bad situation and like kind of lifted him out of that. And so now he feels beholden to him. But I think he feels a little bad for tricking Portia. Not like he's like in love with her or anything, but I think he feels a little bad. And that is another thing. She's having some regrets as well.
Not one person on this season seems to be even remotely aware that they are still on a vacation
or an island.
That this is all gonna come crashing down in the next, like, I'm like, Portia, you need to get Tanya and you need to get back because you're gonna miss your flight.
It's like, we've got one more day left. Like, I feel like we shouldn't be like doing rails of coke.
I don't know. I loved that. I loved the party. And part of me, and again, what I was saying kind of midway through our conversation, I could also believe, given the way that this show plays games and tricks with the audience, I could believe that it just goes well and Tanya leaves and had a great time. And they just sort of threatened us with these notions that something bad could happen. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, but I could believe it.
I think my top vote is infidelity clause and that she was getting taped. Because that guy was like comically sexual.
I think you made a comment about him not being cute. I thought he was cute.
He was fine, but Quentin was like the hottest guy in Palermo.
Yeah, no, Quentin is not prone to bouts of
just over dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, for a boyfriend for Tanya for the night.
It's fair. Yeah, but
Peep watched too.
Yeah.
This one was real.
Yeah. They were also just like feeding her cocaine.
Surprised there wasn't a funnel.
Too much cocaine.
Okay, I think that's that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's I almost am mad I kept talking. Lucia and fucking Alby watched the moon glow on the bay and ugh.
Why do you have so much hate in your heart?
He's a bad,
love.
he's not a good guy. It's not love. She's manipulating him and he is a drip and he's falling for it. Also,
Okay,
no, wait, but Bert was totally right. Dominic is doing too much and he's going to give it away. And now I'm done. That's it.
On that note, we will bid you adieu and hopefully see you next week for the conversation about the finale of season 2 of White Lotus. It's already been picked up for season 3. So.
Yes! Cairo.
Yeah. Ooh.
I was just guessing. I'm just saying.
I was thinking somewhere more eastern.
Like Japan or something?
Somewhere in like the island, Southeast Asia, like the islands.
Thailand.
Yeah. The Maldives, Fiji.
The Maldives.
I mean, I guess that's close to Hawaii.
I mean, not really, not like distance wise.
Bye.